welcome to WRPB and WRPB Studios. So probably in my lifetime, the hardest job I've ever seen was the years that I was a caregiver for my mom. And I was blessed to have help. And being a caregiver, it's more than just hard work. It takes an emotional connection for it to work. With me is Candace Jones, and she has Care First Disability Service?
Yes.
Okay, so how long have you been doing this stuff?
I started at VNA of the Treasure Coast in 1985.
Wow.
In 1992, I relocated to Kansas for 2.5 years. And when I returned to Florida, I returned to VNA in Palm Gardens of Vero Beach. I worked off and on with VNA of the Treasure Coast until 2017. I stepped out in faith and I started my company.
It takes a certain kind of person to want to be an entrepreneur. I say it takes a crazy person to want to be an entrepreneur. But adding to that, why did you get into this initially?
I got into it because I have a lot of care in my heart and I don't like being alone. So most of my goal and dream is to have a big house full of people that's suffering from mental illness to prevent them from being homeless.
You know, I took my mom in, and you guys know, she was, I think, 86 when I took her in. And I loved the fact, some of the caregivers didn't like the fact, but she had no filter. My mom had no filter. She said whatever she wanted.
That's me.
She said whatever she wanted to say. Sometimes I was embarrassed at some of the things she said, but it didn't matter because she was, getting up in years. And
Right.
she was getting a bit of dementia, Alzheimer's.
Right. It's dementia first and then it turns into Alzheimer's.
And I think it was called sunsetting?
Sundowners?
Sundowners. And she would remember and then she wouldn't remember, but at night was always worse.
Right, because of the sundowners.
And then when she was in a facility, they treated her crappy.
I've experienced that a lot with facilities.
Right, and that's why people like you make such a difference in a parent or someone's care.
Right.
So I think that that's pretty amazing. Plus, I know it's very hard. That's hard work because, like I said, not only do you have the physical issues to deal with,
Right.
but you have the emotional issues and the
Right.
mental issues.
Right.
And I think that's very, very difficult. So tell me about what your agency does.
At Care First, we provide personal care, homemaker, respite, transportation, grocery shopping. We provide everything.
Are you RN, CNAs?
We have RN, CNAs. I just hired a doctor.
Oh,
We have mental health therapists, behavior techs, physical therapy, speech and OT. I just invested in my first splinter. So I will also have a trucking company, but it'll all be through Care First. I'm in the marketplace, Humana, Care Source, and Medicaid.
so you take those things.
I take all insurances.
You take Medicare?
I'm in the process of my Medicare license. Medicare license are the only ones I don't have yet.
It's interesting.
And
because,
I'm a VA provider also.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Because I'm on Medicare now, and that's a whole tricky thing. Insurances
Right.
are very tricky.
Right.
If you get and we sold a bill of goods, we sold this Advantage plan, which is garbage for me.
Right.
I didn't take it. I took a supplement,
Right.
and my out-of-pocket's $228. And ironically enough, I had a stroke, two
Right.
strokes, and 2 surgeries.
Wow.
Which would have been like over $1 million.
Right.
It cost me $228.
Wonderful.
So that's plus. And people like you don't have to worry about collecting from just Medicare and the Advantage plan. You just got to go to the supplement to get the balance. So you're always not chasing the money. And that's another thing about your industry. Your industry is so much about getting paid so that you can stay in business, okay? So you can give the care that you need to give, and it makes it much more difficult. Most people don't understand what it's like just being in a regular business, because
Right.
you don't work 8 hours and go home, okay? You have so many more things to do.
You work 24/7.
Right. I always say, if you're an entrepreneur, you probably make $1.70 an hour.
Right.
But since you started in this industry, and it's many years you've been in it,
Yeah.
have you seen a lot of changes,
I've seen a lot of changes.
such as?
Well, a lot of people can't afford even their insurance. Us at Care First, we care about you first. I don't look at money. I've been blessed to be able to provide for people, and I give back a lot to the community. I mostly only help the ones that can't afford me, because I don't worry about money. My faith is so powerful, and God has provided all my needs. I have more than I even need.
And you know, it's funny that you say that because most people want more than they need,
No.
okay? And I think the reason I'm in this 30 years, and I think the reason I'm successful is because I give back.
Right.
And you can't buy the feeling of giving back,
Right.
you know?
Right.
And that's so, so important. So you have RN, you just hired a doctor, you have CNAs, and I guess home companions too.
I have companions.
So my question is, how do you know who's going to be a good fit?
You don't. You I take care of the client first,
Right.
and then I pair them up with one of my staff members. I always, because I'm a CNA, even
Okay.
though I own the company.
Right.
I'm a CNA. I'm a administrator. I have all the license, and I do the assessments, and I take care of the client first.
I mean, the world is not perfect, and the client could be especially older clients. You might come there in January of the year, and by April or May, that whole client's personality and everything can change.
It does change.
Okay, do you then like switch to another caregiver that might be a better fit?
You don't. All caregivers, if they're in it because they have the passion and love like I do,
Mm-hmm.
you just suggest to the client. The client don't have to adjust to us.
That's interesting, because I know from my mom that the caregivers that came through, some of them took a lot of abuse from my mom, and it just came with age, and it came with
Right,
dementia and Alzheimer's and some of that stuff, and it's amazing how some of them were able to adapt to dealing with her.
You have to adapt.
I'm her son, and I had a hard time dealing with
Well,
her.
I took care of my mom. When it's a family member, they're always going to give us a hard time. They're going to be better with someone else besides their own kids
You know,
and family.
my
and-
mom was older, and she came from a different time.
Right.
So when you get older or you go in a hospital, you lose most of your dignity.
Correct.
So I always threatened my mom when she was not acting right that your next caregiver is going to be a guy, and he's going to come and see your private parts and have to clean you up.
Oh my goodness.
And
You
because
didn't
my
touch
wife
her.
was the one that did it,
Right, I remember you telling me
and
that.
my wife would say, "I'm not doing this anymore. Your son's going to have to come take care of it." And that would be the worst of the worst.
Right.
All right, than a stranger.
Right.
Okay, having your kid. So I mean, I was lucky I had my wife to take care. So you didn't. Do you take them to the doctors? And
I take them to doctors, grocery shopping. I travel with them on cruises, flights, or drive them.
whatever they need.
Whatever their need, we make it happen.
So does that mean? So that would mean that whoever you assign to that person is not only just their caregiver, but they're
Personal assistant.
right. They're like personal
They're
assistants.
personal assistant. That's why it says personal care. I have two entities. The one Care First is a waiver, and I can provide personal care. But Care First Homemaker and Companion, that's, movies, dinner,
It's more of a
grocery
companionship.
shopping. It's companion. It's called Care First Homemaker and Companion.
But as you get older, more things kick in. You need some medical help.
Correct.
Um, they always ask what daily activities you cannot do anymore.
Well, I'm with my company. I just would have to provide the right staff. I'm able to provide everything.
Well, right.
'Cause I'm
Obviously,
licensed,
you've
yeah.
gotten your
All the
finger
credentials.
and now you got a doctor, RN,
Right.
So you got all the pieces that go together
Right.
to keep it comfortable. Are you? And I know this can sound weird. Are your clients? Are your clients' families the ones that hire you most of the time?
Yes.
And are they local? A lot of them not.
Well, I got a call from somebody from Germany. I got to do an intake. Their mother is here, so my company is worldwide. I can make it happen
Well, I mean,
in any state, in any county.
the interesting thing that I find is that unlike when we were younger, families stayed close together. Here, you have people from up north with their family down here, with their
Correct.
elders down here, and a lot of times they cannot take care,
Right.
and then sometimes they don't want to take care,
Right.
and that's really sad because in other countries they respect their elders more than we do here.
Correct.
So I mean, it's really important, and I'll tell you what I learned. My mom had long-term care. She
Right.
was lucky.
See, I'm a long-term care provider.
So what I learned was even if you don't have long-term care, being a caregiver is very, very difficult. And it's not a 5-minute job, it's a 24-hour job.
Correct.
And you've got to put certain things aside
Right.
if you care about the elder that you're with.
Right.
Some of the hardest parts is not getting respite.
I remember you
right.
saying that.
If you don't, and I didn't realize that how important respite was, because it was my mom, and you do what you got to do for your.
Do it. You always.
You only get one mom,
That's right.
and God willing, she's healthy and good, and you want to see the best for her. Okay, we're getting to the top of our time. How do people contact you? You have a phone number?
I have a phone number. My phone number is 561-294-6711.
And you have a
I have
website?
a website. My website is carefirstdisabilityllc.com.
Everybody, I said it a million times. If you don't use a professional, it's going to cost you 5 times more and 10 times more in frustration and aggravation. That's in the normal world. In the caregiving world, it'll be 50 times more in frustration than you could ever possibly imagine, because one is if you're close to that person, like I was to my mom, every little thing is like, how do I handle it? How do I handle it? Who do I call? What do I do? Taking her to the hospital. And then if you have a job, they have to go to the doctor.
Right.
How do you get them to the doctor? So
Right.
having somebody to be the coordinator for all that and take care of that, you can't put a price on that, because
Right.
it's just a interesting thing. And it's interesting because you said something, a stranger does better than a family member,
Yeah, a stranger.
you know.
I experienced it over the years.
And what I learned was I thought it would be easy. So when I took my mom out of assisted living, put her in my house, she was mobile a bit, and I had cameras. It's what you think. Well, I'm sitting here exactly where I'm sitting now, and my interview was over, I look at my camera, and my mom's on the floor. So I take off from here, and I fly down across town, because I'm going to get home, and I got stopped by a cop. And He kept me there and gave me a ticket. Instead of calling 911, I showed him the video of my mom on the floor. Instead of calling 911, and instead of either taking me to my mom or following me, didn't do any of that. Kept me there for and he gave me a ticket. And I don't mind because I was doing 68 in a 45. I get it. I was breaking the law, but there wasn't one person that I ever know, including the judge and everybody else, including the officers, that wouldn't have done the exact same thing.
Right. Your mom's first. Family's always first.
Right, family first. Once more time, what's the phone number again?
561-294-6711. Care First is where we care about you first.
Everybody, check them out. We'll be right back. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.